So with Jared?
Yeah, that was Jared.
Yeah,
I
think
think
it
last week,
was.
like he strikes again or something.
Yeah,
yeah,
Jared.
Yeah.
yeah,
Jared Schwartzman.
yeah. Jared's like the amount of talent that guy has is ridiculous. The stuff that he can come up with.
I was actually watching it on my way to Cabela's to buy some fishing gear, so I didn't get a chance to like research his work, but I will after the show.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's insane.
Be blown away.
We're ready to
All
go
right.
whenever, Nick.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I mean we're live.
Yeah,
The
we're live
recording
now,
is
but I'm
done?
just, yeah, the recording has started. You can cut it if you want.
All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to season 2 of Ctrl+Z. Tonight we are featuring special guest Hector Rodriguez, or better known as Optic Hex. How are you doing this
Hello
evening,
world.
sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
What did you know?
Really excited to have you on, and it's funny because a lot of people probably don't even know that you do a lot of art stuff. They just see the optic gaming stuff, and they don't see much of the art stuff. But you really got a good eye for it, uh, and and some talent in regards to the graffiti writing.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it, especially coming from obviously good artists. So it means more. It means more than you, the viewer, said something.
The viewer.
So for those of the people out there that don't know who you are, just go ahead and do a quick rundown of who you are and where you come from.
Sure. My name is Hector Rodriguez. I play video games on the video game platform called Call of Duty. I'm known as Optic Hex. I own a team called Optic Gaming. We were supposed to win COD champs, but we didn't. We came in seventh place. But we still showed up and had a lot of fun, and that's what matters at the end of the day. So that's who I am.
Cool.
Cool. So we may talk some gaming in the latter half of the show, but what I'm really interested in, and I think a lot of people that are watching now are interested in as well, is talking a little graffiti. It's something that I have literally no experience in, but it's still something that I appreciate as an art, which it definitely is. How did you get into graffiti writing?
In in eighth grade. So I moved to the United States. So I was born in Texas, lived in Mexico until I was 13 years old. Moved to the United States here in Chicago when I was 13, and I was in eighth grade, right? So I had a little bit of a language barrier first because obviously I didn't speak English. It took me about a year to properly learn the language, and then about another 6 months to lose the accent. It comes back here and there, it depends, right? But girls, man, girls, easy way to break the ice. Draw them a pretty picture, and then the rest is history. You'll be having some apple sauce in the cafeteria discussing gym class or something, and how Mr. Perkins wasn't as cool as everybody thought at the beginning of the year.
That's cool. Were you the type of guy where you could, so like for me when I do artwork it makes me so anxious and I just can't do it when somebody's watching me like try to draw something. Are you the opposite? Can you just draw and
I've always been a performer, man. I've always been a show up. I remember early on, like I remember this one time in high school, there was another graffiti writer, and in there, and they wanted to like sketch battle. So I was like, all right, you do my name, I'll do your name, and what I did is I drew his name upside down, but he obviously, since he was in front of me, he could read it like right side up. And there was a whole bunch of people around us, and I was like,
Yeah.
I brushed it off the shoulders.
So what was
Nice.
your first like introduction into graffiti? Did you see where in eighth grade where you were living? Was there
No.
some on the walls, or did it just started to percolate from?
Yeah, no. To be honest, one guy, his name was Frankie. This one guy drew my name, and I'm like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Um, it had nothing to do with graffiti. It had not like I don't even think he knew that it was about graffiti or anything.
Right.
It came into my world in Man, I really don't have like a specific thing. I saw some dude's locker and he had some in there, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, I did that before. I've drawn letters before. That's pretty cool. And then I started like looking into it and looking into it, and then it immediately caught on to me like there was this like culture that revolved around abstract letters and lettering and you were identified by a name that wasn't yours, by a nickname,
Hmm.
and that you were also identified by the style of lettering that you did. So I'm like, oh my God, that's like the coolest thing ever. Like I'm an individual. I like individualism, so I'm gonna get into it. I'm like I like drawing stuff, so I got into it, and I don't know, it just took a hold of me like nothing else in my life had. I mean, granted, I was like 15 at the time. I was 13 when I first drew letters, and then 15 when I was introduced to it, and and then from there, like I was playing basketball with some of my friends, and then I saw his book or his notebook, and I saw that he was he had a little scribble on there. I'm like, hey, you do graffiti? He's like, yeah. And so then we started talking. Then we just built each other up, and then we like did the research and looked at who like the people that were already well established graffiti writers, and at the time like there were LA graffiti writers, right? There's like the new MSK, which back then were called AWR,
Hmm.
and it was like Poja, Crush, like Revoke, Saber, like all the legends, right? So I was mind blown, right? The color composition and then the letters and like the 3D, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like a level that I don't think I'll ever be able to attain, but I am gonna try to, and luckily I got good enough to where I could make it look good. So that's how I got introduced to it.
Gotcha.
So I feel like before we continue here, just want to let you guys know that are new to the stream that we appreciate you coming out for the live show, but we will have little to no interaction with the chat as we go because we post these recordings on YouTube as well. So it's a little bit of an awkward translation if we're speaking to chat and answering questions from the chat because they can't see that chat obviously, but we do appreciate you guys coming out, and we're going to be showing some of Hector's art on the stream while we're speaking with him, and so just enjoy the show, and we will try and be as entertaining as possible.
That's right.
I noticed the Travis is showing the Flickr page of your work, and that's one thing that I thought was really cool about your work is that even when there's multiple artists, it looks like on
Yeah.
some of these shots, even without seeing like reading the letters, you can tell how the consistency. I can just
Yeah.
tell right from the overall shape. Oh, that's Hector's right there. And
Yeah.
then really look at it. I think it's pretty cool. It's like a word mark in the branding world. It's a word mark where the letters form the logo in a sense. So I
Yeah.
find that downright amazing. I can't keep that consistency. I can't even
That's
keep that
tough.
consistency on like signing a check.
Yeah. No, it's and well, I think that you have it easier because you're like a natural born artist, right? Where I had to like if you asked me to draw a human face, it would literally, if I really wanted it to look like a human face, it would literally take me at least a month to figure it out to get it like, and it won't even look good, right? But when it came to like, but when it came to like lettering, and that's what I mean, right? I've never been a natural born artist. Where I mean, I could draw like basic stuff, but when it comes to the complexity of like the human anatomy, it's like completely like out of my realm, right? I couldn't draw a realistic wolf or a realistic dog or anything like that. But I mean, if I sat down and like did it like cartoons, easy, right? I'll look at something and I can just like put it onto paper from what I'm looking. But just like the human anatomy has always been like weird. So
Yeah.
a cartoon is the way that I go in that particular scenario.
Especially hands. Ugh,
Yeah,
hands are really hard to draw
hands.
for me.
Yeah.
So you got your start on with like the pen and paper. Is that pretty normal for graffiti writers? Do most people do sketches and things like that, or is it, you know, some people do one and some people do the other?
Well, when I was coming up, it was a little bit more macho back then. It was like you get to the wall and then you freestyle your piece, or at least that was like the culture or the norm back in the '90s when I was doing it. Um, but no, not nowadays, and like towards the end of my career, there was obviously drawing a sketch beforehand was like almost mandatory because I had to go with the composition of the entire wall. Um, and for trains it was a lot easier because at that point you're trying to get in and get out, so that's why like a lot of the letters and a lot of the style looks like almost uniform because it was what came natural to me, and I did it so many times that it was just like, all right, you do this, you paint that, you do that, outline, done, let's get out of here.
Second nature.
Yeah.
So, is there a lot of collaboration that goes on, or is it more of like a solo game?
No, there's a lot of collaboration. And it's obviously like when I was one of the things that happened to me was that I knew what graffiti was, and I was like I sketched a lot of letters and a lot of pieces, but I didn't really get my introduction into true graffiti until like 5 years into my career in a sense. I was painting a mural. It was actually a pillar in a hip hop store where they sold things like you guys will probably know, like Mecca, Fubu, PNB, all the old school like
Yeah.
hip hop garments,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the crooks and castles of our times, right? The undefeateds, right? And I was painting a mural there, and then I came back the next week to do another side, and I saw this one dude that had just came in and murdered, like the other side of where I did, and I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. I'm like, this guy is way better than me. His name was Revise. He's still a good friend of mine. He's now a chef, and he was on a TV show. I don't remember which one it was, but Revise CMW from Chicago. He's like the first dude that ever took me out to like a yard and taught me techniques. And then after that, through that, I was introduced to Omens, who ended up. Well, I was introduced to Curse first. Cursed AMFM. He is the dude that I started painting with and painting trace heavily, and then he became my mentor in a sense when it came to like trains. But like the overall graffiti aspect, that's like Omens is the guy that was like my true mentor in the whole thing. He's still a good friend of mine. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, it's the guy that has the sticker called #BluntGod. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I rep it hard. I have a shirt and all that, but people are like, "Oh, you smoke marijuana?" I'm like, "No, it's actually just my friend's name who does smoke a lot of it, right?" So, like, I'm just repping my friend. But yeah, it's
Is he still there in Chicago as well?
he moves around.
All right.
Is it a pretty welcoming community, or is it kind of like you got to prove yourself and then they kind of welcome you in, or?
There's a full
Yeah, no,
initiation
the-
process.
No, I mean, there's a lot of politics, right? Like, you can't have somebody else's name, pretty much, right? My problem, because there was a Hex already in Chicago but he spelled it differently, and I didn't know about him until like it was too late, right? Until I was already enamored with my name, and there was nothing that was gonna pry me away from it. That put up a lot of barriers for me, and that's why I couldn't paint a lot in the city because I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I've always been about peace, man. Like I'm a pacifist to forever, unless obviously it's time to fight, then that's a different story. But I try to avoid that because I don't like that side of me. But I try to avoid that altercation or that confrontation or that altogether. So I just started painting trains and stayed away from that, and I did my thing. So, but no, there's a lot of politics. It's a welcoming, sure, absolutely. But if you're doing something wrong, then obviously it's just like anything. It's a little bit worse than anything. I think one of the good things about graffiti is that its culture is so strong and so like deep rooted in its thoughts and their norm that nobody's changing your mind. It is what it is, and there's no ways around it, and that's what it was.
So do
That's cool.
you still draw from time to time and make new
Keep your
pieces?
skills fresh.
I do. Last time I put pen to paper. I mean, if I open my desk, I have pencils and I have my Sakura pens that oh look, the picture that I was talking about. this is the thing that I did, and I swear to you, I don't know why it's in here. It's out of place. That's so crazy, but yeah, no, I try to, man. I mean, if I'm sitting somewhere, like if I'm in a meeting or anything, I'm always sketching. Always have a pen, and like right now, my notebook is at the optic house on my desk there. But yeah, if I'm on a call or if I'm like doing anything, I'm always sketching. So it's yeah, I do full on work like the Angry Birds stuff that you guys are showing right now. That I literally have to work I literally have to work myself to do something like that. I have to clear my schedule and I have to make sure that there's nothing around, and I have to have like a show to watch in the background, just noise to cancel everything out.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, for
Good
doing
Terrence.
it so long, where you just go start to finish. Is it hard for you to, sort of, like do a little bit at a time, or are you able to, do some doodling here and then sort of pick up where you left off, or do you have to sit down and just knock it all out?
I have to, man. I won't finish. I'm really bad at finishing stuff that I start with art specifically, because my time just gets consumed by whether it's like work thing, whether it's like family stuff, whatever it is. I just have to sit down and clear my schedule and just do that and nothing else. Otherwise, it'll never get finished. I mean, I have my books back there, and I have a Mayanite sketch that I started that I was supposed to release like season one, and I just never finished it, and now it's like well into season two, and we're not
Still
even
time.
we're not even doing it. No, yeah, but we're not on the show, and then like we don't have time for the show. Well, maybe now that the Nate Shot's free, we'll do something like that. But yeah, again, if I can clear my schedule and say you're gonna finish this today, like I'll finish it. Aside from that, it's yeah,
You ever,
hard.
you ever sell any of your work or anything like that, or has it all just been for your personal use?
The majority of it is for personal use. At the beginning of like when I first quit my job to do the gaming thing full time, I didn't get paid for like 9 months, and we were living off of like my daughter was just born, and it was like the most irresponsible thing, right, for me to quit my well-paying job to hopefully make it in the video game industry and not even the video game industry, like entertainment industry on YouTube. So what I was doing is I would upload videos, and since I had a little following there, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna sell faceplates for the Xbox for $40, right? $40 will get you a nice piece of art. You'll have it within a week, whatever, and luckily there was a lot of interest in it, and I was making enough money to where we didn't have to like super dive into the savings. But I remember even back then, I'm like, man, I'm selling this so cheap, man. I'm like, this is like, I can't, I couldn't believe. And at that time, I was still like in that graffiti mentality where I was like really harsh on the rules, right? I'm like, man, I shouldn't really be doing this. I'm like, I felt like I was selling out a little bit, but I had a brand new baby, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do. I'm I'm hers to sell out in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's no longer my pride or my life. It's all about her. So I just started making faceplates. People started liking them, and I had a nice little business going for the longest. And then once everything started picking up, I stopped doing them altogether. Luckily, the Xbox 360, the new version of the Xbox 360 came out, so the faceplates weren't detachable. So that kind of like helped me in the transition. It made it a little bit easier to just say no to the money and just be cool with it. So
Nice. Yeah,
That's
we were
funny.
we were talking before, and we are wondering why we haven't seen a Optic Gaming graffiti shirt over these years.
yeah, that's part of it. Obviously, I don't know. I'm still a little bit old school in a sense, but I've thought about doing some sort of like transition back into art. Both canvas and stuff. Like this canvas right there was made by my friend Omens, the guy that was like my mentor.
Wow.
And like I recorded him doing it in my old place, and he's like, "All right, this is just for you, right? You're like not gonna post it." I was like, I guess I can. Yeah. I'm not gonna post it. But overall, I do think about it daily, right? Like I'm like the only thing that would make my life more perfect than what it is today is if I could allocate a Saturday to just doing art and just do that. Like I'm even asking for just one day from myself, my own boss. I'm asking me, it's like, yo, I'm gonna do one day. Hopefully one day. That's the plan.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Nice.
when,
So, is there any other form of art that you've ever been tempted to get into, or has it always just been graffiti's your one and only?
No, I see the graphics that people like that the people come up with both for thumbnails, backgrounds, like photo edits and all that stuff. But it took me literally like I would say a good 6 months to learn Final Cut Pro, right?
Right.
And that's just like how many commands, right? Like even to this day, I'm still using Final Cut Pro 7, and it like fails constantly. But I can't seem to bring myself to use Premiere or anything else. So I've always been like, all right, man, you should learn Photoshop and like get a tablet, do something. And I'm always like, there's people out there that do it better than me, so I'm just gonna hit up Evan and see if he can help me out. The path of least resistance, friends. All right, always.
Yeah, you could probably pick up a tablet and put together something nice.
I would love to see you pick up a tablet and go to town on it. That
I have an addicting personality, man. Addictive personality. So if I get on that, business will suffer, family time
we're not
will
gonna see you
suffer.
again.
Yeah. Until I'm happy with like where I'm at. So I was like, I'd rather not.
You can blame us if you decide to do it. No.
No, I'm
That's
gonna
cool.
pass. I'm gonna pass.
That's cool. So, do you prefer the pencil and paper type work, or do you like the spray paint? Sort of-
I love it all, man. If you can grab some grapes, watermelon, and a mango and put it on a canvas and make it look good, I'll like it. I don't care the medium, as long as it looks good and it appeals to me. Like I like it. I'm not what do you say? How do you? I mean, if you were to put it into race, I'm not a racist. Okay, I like pencils as much as I like Mexicans, or I'm sorry, pencils as much as I like spray cans and all that. So yeah, anything, man. I would like that's what I'm saying. Like I appreciate like the graphic work that you guys do, because I see it as something that I can't do, so that makes it a little bit more like appealing, right? I'm like holy shit, that's awesome. The symmetry that you can get on the work that with Photoshop is just like a beauty.
It's kind of cheating. It's all because you can replicate, but yeah, it's one thing that's always heavily impressed me with graffiti writers and artists in general is their color theory. Like just they're constantly pulling up some of the color palettes they use, and if I sat down and just thought about those type of colors, I wouldn't think they'd work, and then seeing it pulled off like you guys do is just, I don't know how you do it. That's like magic.
That was one of the things that appealed to me first, right? Because again, like when I started with letters only. There was no color to it, because I wanted to get the structure, because a lot of people can hide their letters behind the color and they just make it look pretty, and it's like, oh shit, it's dope. But so I made sure that I wasn't gonna be that dude. So I made sure that my letter structure was right before I started adding color to it, and then I just like started looking at everything. There's this guy called Glue. I don't think he paints anymore, but he was a graffiti writer. Glue, GLU, just Glue, and he had one of the most amazing like color combinations in every single one of his pieces that I was just like holy crap! I would never think ever to use this with this, and then magic, right? And then you have people like Pose, who I think in my eyes, he's like the best graffiti writer in the world. If you can be that, right? Because it's art, there's no competition. Like this one's not better than this one. But in graffiti, kind of, I don't know, it's weird. So for me, I think that Pose is like the top of the top, like the dude when it comes to that. So, and I met him, right? My dude Omens works with him closely, and so I've had a good chance to like see his work in progress, and then see his work in person, and then see him in person. So that's even cooler. Like what you would equate to fanboyism.
Right.
So like his work is just like the colors, the letters. Like he's always been like ahead of the game, like 2 steps ahead of the game when it came to like letter styles and like at the evolution of like letter or spray paint maneuvers in a sense, like techniques.
Techniques, yeah.
So yeah, so I've always been like a super huge fan of his.
Does he
Nice.
does he ever post any kind of like stuff like that or share it with you? You know, or do you kind
Yeah.
of just have to look at his work and?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get like sometimes I just go on his Instagram and then just like look at everything. Today, for example, when I was giving Evan the links, I that that one that you're showing, that's the last one I painted in 2001, the green with the blue outline. But sorry, sidetracked. I just go today when I gave Evan the links. I went to his website and I'm like, oh man, I haven't been to his website in like months. So I just went through all his Vimeo videos, every single one of them, like leading up to this show, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's God. Like, that is the green with blue outline is the one that my last train that I've ever painted ever. So it's kind of dear
The
to
one
me.
with the AOK 111267.
No, I mean I don't know about those numbers.
It's on the picture.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't do that one.
Oh, okay.
How long did one of those take? Like, is that an hour? An hour? Or-
30 minutes.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
That's some fast work, man. Like,
Yeah, it
shit.
is.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, but you can also tell how sloppy it is, though. It's like,
It looks pretty good to me.
It's funny because you're saying that you're impressed of what we can do with a computer, and I'm impressed with what you can do without a computer.
Yeah, I'm like clicking through some of this. You had some stuff earlier. I think it was that girl Ash or something like that on the YouTube, and how it was like perfectly symmetrical, and everyone was talking about, yeah, it's just digital now. You just flip it, and I'm sitting here like,
yeah.
how the hell do you do that? Like perfect. Like, because if I try to draw like anything symmetrical on paper, my wife's
You
gonna be
could do
like,
it.
what happened to you? Like, you went over, you went up to the corner. Like, that's funny.
You have to draw a grid first, and then figure out the boxes. That's
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
what I do. I draw a grid.
you do a lot of like
Box
grid measures,
A4 and
procedures.
B4.
I'm sure you get into like a muscle memory situation where it just kind of flows
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, I'm like, I can draw a perfectly straight letter going down, but if I do like this, it's just not. It
Turns into like a heartbeat.
It's
I
like
meant
an
to do that.
EKG reader, right? It's like, but
that's my style.
straight down is easy, man. It's just like whoop, easy.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, like as far as graffiti writers go, does everyone sort of like establish their own style, or do you guys kind of like feed off each other's styles? You see that a lot in like the graphic design community where somebody will kind of release this trend and then people will kind of come out and sort of mimic it or take it and apply it to their style. Is there a lot of that in graffiti writing, or is everyone kind of trying to establish their own style?
Yeah, well, you have to start. You can't do the same H or the same E or the same letter as anybody else. Otherwise, you'll be called the biter, which is like the most shameful thing you can do. Colors is a little bit more lenient, right? Like it's okay to copy certain like compositions and stuff, but as far as lettering goes, like you have to be really, really careful to not replicate somebody else's work, right? Because then you're trying to take credit for their creativity in not creating that. But in the same sense, you can learn from there. Like like my letters resemble Revice, who's the guy that I started going out with a lot. Like I took a lot of like tips from his style and try to evolve it into my own thing, where his is like more organic and it looks more like germs in a sense.
Yep.
It's just like sick. So
That's cool.
That's cool. I mean, to be able to distinguish yourself from probably hundreds of other artists, it's like a lot of people say there's only so many ways you can draw an H, right?
Yeah.
So that's
what
that's
is
cool.
there?
That's true. There's
Tell us,
probably
but, yeah.
I mean,
so
it's,
is the
it's a little arrow that you can add here and there that makes it different. So it's
Yeah. Yep.
like infinite.
yeah.
Where the crossbar lands and
Is there kind of a big divide between just like the letterers and then the more like mural type guys, or
No, I think there's a divide, or not a divide in the sense where it's like, oh, we don't like these type of artists, and it's more like you have like the in my eyes, right, in my opinion, you have the street artists that do like wheat pasting and stencils, like you have Banksy, Obey, Shepard Fairey, and others that just like have a pre-stencil and then get there and then they just plaster it everywhere, right? That's I like it. Obviously there's room for it, but then you have the bombers, right? People that just go out and do, I don't know. It's so complicated. It's just. But is there a divide? No, it's all the same thing, right? Self-expression at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But there's different styles, and that's where the differentiation happens.
I was going to ask you about that. If you were fans of guys like Shepard or Banksy, or I remember watching it was some documentary on. I can't remember the guy's name. I think he just goes by Space Invader, and he just has these little Space Invader plaques that he puts all over the place, like little mosaics and such. And
Yep.
it's
Huge fan.
What's that?
I'm a huge fan. Yeah, huge fan.
Cool.
Yeah, he's really good. Like if you're able to like, and I'm not recommending this, right? But if you're able to like steal one of like his, because what he does is like he grabs little tiles and then puts them on top of some sort of paste, right? And then he makes the Space Invader, and then he takes it off and then glues it on the wall places, right?
Right.
You take one off, that's an easy 10K, you know, in the right markets. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I would take it, but it would be for me. It would be sitting right there. Right?
You know, yeah.
It's mine.
You know, someone watching this is like, I know of one. Mom, where's the ladder? Like,
Yeah. It's
Do you think artists like that, maybe that's something that they have in the back of their minds is maybe it's when they use different mediums like that, it's something that can be taken down and you know it holds together type thing.
It's like giving birth, man. If you create a child, you put it out into the world, and somebody steals it as part of its life and the course that particular work of art has to take. What makes it precious to graffiti writers is that you may never see it again, and it makes it that much prettier, right? Because you never know how long it's gonna last, and it's the same thing with like when I used to paint trains. Like I've only seen my work rolling once, and that was like the first train I ever painted, where every single time you paint something, you just want to, and it's in the dark, right? So you won't even get to see what it looks like in daylight, in person, ever again, unless you're like lucky enough to like come back the next day to grab flicks. But yeah, it's like you paint it and you send it off into the world. Maybe it goes 3 miles into the next stop, and they buff it there, and it doesn't get a very long life cycle, or maybe it just keeps rolling through America all the way up to Canada, and then back. So it's weird, but it's part of the life, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
And those cars can end up really anywhere. I mean, they could be dropped off and sit somewhere for 5 years, and then move out to, like you said, Canada, California, like all the way across. That's pretty cool. I like that, like, philosophical feeling behind it. It's like it could just be there forever, or it could be there for 2 hours.
Yeah, like in 2012, I drove 6 hours down to Ohio to paint a Tropicana. It's a Tropicana freight. The refrigerators are, they put refrigerated foods in them.
I think it was on the.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll it up now.
So it's the orange one. I drove 6 hours down to Ohio for one night, painted it, came back to Chicago. Next month, I saw the first picture of it in California.
Wow,
I see it.
Nice.
So I was
this
like,
is a good one,
that.
too.
I'm like that literally went, and to this day, that's still like my gem, like the one that I like the most. Like I still have like screenshots of it, and I still like put it as my background sometimes on my desktop. But like the feeling of it being painted in Ohio, and then just traveling all the way across the country, and it's not just a straight shot across the country, right? It's like dropping off supply and demand all the way until it ended up in California, and then back to the back. So
it's kind of cool because it matches the color scheme of the Tropicana truck in general. Did you do that on purpose, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Same green as the
maybe if it was a different color scheme, they would have been like, get rid of this. But it shows up, they're like, it kind of matches the brand. It's fine. Let it keep going.
yeah. Yeah, and every time I look at it, I'm like, I look at that one spot where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, oh, that just doesn't go. Like, why? What was I? Oh, well, it was dark.
Isn't it different when it's in photos or when it's like I've noticed the same thing in my workflow where if I draw something up, I think it'll look good, then I'll post it to Instagram, and then the next day I'm like, oh man, I gotta fix this and this and this and this. It's just I didn't see it at the time, and
Yeah.
it's when you see it on a different like medium or you know in a photograph or
Different
footage or
sizes.
something that
too.
things start to
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? On the last episode that you guys posted, I listened to the dude says like, or you guys that you guys show a pre-render to whoever you're working for. They're like, oh my god, it's awesome, thank you. And they're like, whoa, I was just showing you like it's not finished. And that happens to me like more than you know, right? Like Evan will show me something, I'm like, hell yeah, man, thanks. And I just posted it, hey, I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what can you possibly do to this to make it look way better?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, as an artist or designer at all, if at any point in your life you go back and you look at your old work and you say, man, that's better than the stuff that I'm doing now, you're in trouble. You know, theoretically, your work should be improving as time goes on. So you might be in trouble if you look back at some of your old stuff and say, oh man, that's better than what I'm doing now. But
Ooh, I really like
there's-
this very first one in this feed. It's like
There's
a maroon
one-
truck in the bottom right. It's like green with yellows.
Oh,
It'll come up here in it shortly, but I really like this
Yeah,
one a lot.
yeah, it's Curse, Orange, and then me. I hated painting the right because there's a bar on the right side of like on
I
every
see
train
it.
on
The
the right
ladder thing?
on the right side. No, the ladder's fine. It's that little bar at the bottom, which is where the door like slides onto. It just gives it that extra like you just don't want to
Tough
paint over
part,
because
yeah.
you're literally So I always try to stay away from there. I was never skilled enough to. Well, my style didn't like take well on that side either, but.
Could you imagine if that like happened to us as digital artists? We're like in Illustrator and we're like, what is this thing? I have to paint around it. Like it's in the way. Like that we don't have that situation.
yeah, we don't have to mess with contours and.
Well, it's
like
like when you see those fails where it's somebody had to wrap, you know, some advertisement on a bus or something they didn't take into consideration when the double doors open or something like that. It's like some woman gets her head all disconfigured in that photo.
Some of them
arguments.
they take that into consideration and they create some really cool ones though too. Those opening doors.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've seen
when
like a
you
T-Rex
photograph it.
one I think, and it, like the mouth opens and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Was there ever like any disagreements or anything about what side of the train or what side of the wall you get to paint on? You know, maybe you have like somebody who's more comfortable left-handed or right-handed and they don't want to paint on the.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, for example, on that one, like I'm complaining about the bar, but the guy in the middle had it the worst. He had to paint.
Oh yeah, he had this whole door
over
thing.
the door.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the texture of a door, it's literally just like bolts and like shit coming out. So it's bad. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like the people with the fatter letters, taller letters, always work the right.
I imagine you walking up to this at night and like the other guy takes the far left and you take the right and he's sitting in the middle like looking at you two like, all right, okay, I got it. I got the middle, the shitty spot. Okay.
No, I remember this one. This one's like I was saying, I'm like, all right, I gotta get over this. I gotta learn how to paint the right side, and then I was like, nah, I don't need to. I don't really need to. I don't really need to. I'm not. I'm good. After this one, I'm good.
What's
Are you able to use left and right hand or?
No. I've tried to. I mean, simple writing, I do okay. Still looks like my daughter's handwriting, but no.
When you're on paper and working with color, what's your marker of choice as far as color? I know that I used to get that question a lot, just as far as what's in the toolbox type thing. Did you have one that you went to more than others, or?
I use Prisma colors to blend, and then I use Sakuras to do the black stuff with.
Yeah.
But overall, like Sharpie gets the work done when it comes to like doing the most. It's the most versatile thing that you can use, the Sharpie.
Yep.
Optic Hex, sponsored by Sharpie.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
They do some cool stuff actually.
Oh,
Yeah. They sponsored Justine, and I have an iJustine.
Sharpie did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. She did like some pretty cool stuff with it. And I'm like, oh man, I would just for free markers for life, I would totally. Like just thinking about it just blows my mind. I'm like,
I could just see you like outside. The mailman comes up. He's like, my Sharpies. I didn't even have to pay for them.
Yeah, you know when I was in let's see, when I was working in corporate America, obviously the endless supplies that we were given on a monthly basis, like
Right.
endless amount of Sharpies and stuff. And at one point I remember like trading like a bundle of Sharpies for like artwork from like this dude, and he gave me like an amazing piece of art for it. And I'm like, holy shit! I mean, if I could just do this like once a month, I could probably have like a pretty sick collection. Ended up not doing it, but the amount of like how valuable Sharpies are and like how expensive it is. Like Christmas, for example, like $3.99 per or $2.99 per marker, right?
Yeah.
A box of 72 is like close to $300. So you're like, if you think about, you know, a regular old me back then when I had a job, responsibilities, and a budget, it was hard to get, man. So you know, when I started, you know, making decent money doing what I do now, the first thing I went out and bought was like a big, like the biggest box I could get of Prismas, and paid for it and felt good about it. I'm like, this is where it's at. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny how you bring up corporate America and a kind of similar situation where we'd use up all the toner. They had one of the kind of the you know, the large format type printers, and by large format I mean it went to 11 by 14 or something, like, you know, it wasn't like too large, but it was one of the I forget who made it, but you know, it was like, hey, we can print off posters, you know, and print our own artwork off and have it look cool. And I remember the toner guy just being there like every other week, just pissed off that he had to refill the machine every time.
He's like, what are you guys printing?
Yeah. I can't be printing off this much stuff. Well,
and you know,
walls at home yet.
And I just had a conversation with one of the hackers that goes around stealing people's like stuff, like Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff. And I'm like, and he got my phone number, or an old phone number, and he texted me. He's like, hey, I got your stuff and all of that and this that. And I was like, in the back of my head, I'm like, can I really hate this guy? Like, he's when I was a graffiti writer, I was doing something illegal, right? And I was being a nuisance to society, and I was being a pain in the ass. I'm like, I can't hate this guy. If he takes my stuff, then, you know, good, you know, kudos for him. It's my fault for not being a little bit more secure. Would it hurt and would I be mad? Of course, but I just, it makes him smile, man. You know, it's what they do. And just like back in the day, nothing was gonna stop me from doing what I love to do. Same way. So I'm like, nah, kids.
Is there like any certain city or place that's sort of like the mecca for graffiti artists?
I don't know. People say that there is, and some people say it's different parts. I don't care. To me, Toledo, Ohio, has always been like the graffiti playground, for me. But you know, New York is like obviously where it all started in a sense. So I think that's what most people are gonna say. But overall, I think you make I don't know, it's whatever makes you more comfortable. Like I said, for me, Toledo, Ohio we used to paint that in literally 5-degree weather, and I don't know if you know, but when you spray out like out of a can, it gets really cold because all the aerosol in there. So it was like you had to. It was tough times. That's another thing that you guys don't have to deal with as illustrators. Right? No, you don't have to. You don't have to worry about heat stroke because you're in between, you know, tons of metal that have just been collecting heat all day, and it's just that you're not worried about getting hit by a train, and then obviously it's -degree weather, rain, sleet, or snow. So
man, yeah, no, I'd say RN's probably pretty cushy.
I don't know, man.
Chairs.
Chairs.
Sometimes
we used to stand on chairs.
Sometimes my index finger hurts because I'm clicking so much. So kind of a big deal. I'm seeing my doctor about it though.
We have carpal tunnel to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting hit by a train.
You know,
Whoop-de-doo.
This part of my hand really hurts when I draw for a long time because I hold I hold the pencil really, really tight, like this. And that's another weird thing, right? Have you ever considered how people hold the pencil in different ways? This is me.
Let's play a game. Let's all pull up our
right
pencil.
here.
How do you not break it? How does it not just snap?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. The straight line, and then right here, like,
well, it's like those guys that do pinstriping. They'll hold those sword type brushes all strange and just it's amazing how they do that stuff. That's another medium that blows my mind.
Yep.
Pinstriping. Talk about having a steady hand, man.
Yeah. That's the thing that's amazing about art is there's just so many different ways to express it.
Yeah, like hacking.
Not hacking.
Did you see that one train that you had posted right there? It said at the bottom the guy's name was illest ninja in Nebraska, so it could be taken as I was the illest ninja in Nebraska.
I missed that.
That's looking at those. That's another thing that made me, when I started to see graffiti art and see like other schoolmates in high school, doing it on covers of notebooks and stuff, was just the layouts and using the edges of things. So like I never really thought about that before, and seeing somebody like draw something on just a corner of a notebook and use the rounded corner in that artwork and build something out of it. That was another little thing that perked my attention along the way and helped me think differently when it comes to artwork. Little things like that.
Yeah. It's like sometimes like graffiti can be really political and really like serious, but it's at the end of the day it's all just like expression and getting something out that needs to get out.
Cool.
You ever have any close calls, any close run-ins with authorities and things?
Oh yeah, I got but I've only been arrested once for it, and it was when I was like 16. And it was in my hometown, and it was by a cop that we used to play intramural basketball with. So there was no outrunning it because he knew where I lived, right? He knew my full name and high school ID number, right? So we were painting it, and then all of a sudden we see like two people coming around. It was broad daylight. It was on a Sunday. We had Quiznos laying right there. We were eating. We were having a ball, and the two cops turned the corner. And I look, and I'm like, all right, boom. So I start running, and I was like, Hector. I'm like, all right, I stopped. Like, all right, I turn around. I'm like, oh, poor Stinky. I was like, what's up, man? He's like, what are you doing? And I was like,
eating Quiznos?
Eating Quiznos?
Eating Quiznos, man.
Admiring this art.
Yeah. He gave me a fine, man. What the? Like, come on, man. We play basketball together.
Messed up, man. Messed up.
Yeah. It's all good. It's only $50.
Hey, that's one thing that we have in common. We both have Quiznos while working, so I could do that. I could do that as well.
Okay, well, here in Illinois, Quiznos is no longer a thing.
No,
like, really?
I haven't had Quiznos in a good 3 to 4 years.
They gone?
Gone. There's like only I'd have to travel to the city to get some, and I'm not. It's not that good.
Do you have So what's the sandwich shop of choice now?
Mostly Subway.
Yeah. Subway's
Simple,
pretty good.
easy to get. Yeah. But yeah, no. Quiznos was like toasted, man. Come on. You can't compete.
Where do you think Subway got it from?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
We have a place called Firehouse here in the South. That place is delicious.
Yeah, Firehouse subs.
Where you guys from? I know Evan's from California.
I'm from Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah. Razorbacks. Look at that. I grew up
pro team, so we just sell out on the college team.
I grew up in Houston, and now I live in North Carolina.
I got it. We have a Razorback at the Optic House. His name is Optic Big Timer, the GOAT.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The
There
greatest
you
of
go.
all time from Arkansas.
Know
He
it.
grew up in a goat farm. You know what they raise
Yep.
in a goat farm?
Yep. There's a lot of them around here.
Goats. The
I,
greatest
I was
of all
gonna say
time.
goats.
That was his thing. He's like, man, I grew up in a goat farm. You know what they raise in the goat farm? Goats.
Chickens.
Oh man.
You have you ever done any lettering work that wasn't graffiti related?
Yeah. I used to be really, really big into calligraphy,
Ah.
um, Old English stuff, and then I started getting into the cursive. You know, like my tattoo.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you can see, it says villains. So, but that was done by a friend of mine, by Omens. He did that. And then I told him to do something else. He's like, nah, I don't want to do that style anymore. I'm like, come on, man, please, just one more time. He's like, nah, I don't like it. Hey, think about it, right? I'm like, yeah, I want my arm. You know, I want to get something else right here. Can you draw something? And he's like, nah. I'm
No.
like, bro, come on. It literally takes you no time. I don't do that anymore. I don't do that style anymore.
For sure, after the show, you got to check out Jared. You got to check out Sway.
Yeah, definitely check out
Lettering.
Sweden.
Yeah.
So Evan, let's just sort of shift gears a little bit here and talk a little bit about this week's competition and also mention about the last week's entries as well.
All
what
right,
we're going to
so-
do with that.
To segue into that. So the challenge last week was to do a Game of Thrones, what we say, poster design.
Yeah.
So
Or photo manipulation.
submissions were kind of light. Come on, guys, but we're gonna go ahead and extend that to next Sunday, and then I thought we'd throw in another challenge though, and it would be to come up with a game cover. So. Do-it-yourself video game cover of any game, either existing or made up, and just have some fun with it. And yeah, so it can be any platform, whatever. It just has to be if it's a box, put it in, make it look like it's in a box.
Yeah.
And
It
then,
can be made up or real game.
yeah, extra points if it's made up. I don't know. I like to see it. And then in the description below on the video here on YouTube, there'll be a link. I've got a template for an Xbox One cover, so if you guys want to grab that, drop it in when you do your artwork.
Also, we might drop in the links to your previous box arts just for reference.
Oh, it could. Yeah. There's.
Do you have dimension? Did you do dimensions on that or?
Yeah.
Okay.
These boxes are because it's pretty much a DVD inlay, except they've gotten a little smaller, but
Yeah, the PS4 ones are like tiny.
yeah, well they're Blu-ray.
They're
right?
more
They're
square,
Blu-rays.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all up to spec because I just took one out of a box and measured it and then recreated it so it's at the specs of a normal or dimensions of a regular
I
cover.
literally just looked back there at
Yeah.
this at my, and I'm like, holy crap, they are smaller, way smaller.
That was the one of the things. It's funny when Xbox One was being announced and all of that. That's one of the things I paid most attention to was I wonder if the box is changing. I wonder if they're going to change the box. Everybody's like games. Like, I wonder if the box is going to change.
I wonder if
I
wonder if Sony was did that. They could have done that for two reasons: either to save money themselves in terms of producing the plastic, but also just to maybe be a little more eco-friendly in terms of using more plastic too. Because you got to think how much is produced.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
We could just
Especially
do
with-
digital at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, just go digital. I think a lot of
I have a
these
feeling that's where
a
it's
lot of
going.
these developers.
I don't know.
Yeah,
'Cause when
that's the
the
thing.
internet goes out for an hour, you have a paperweight over there, a very expensive, heavy paperweight. So
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny you bring that up because I rarely even have time to think about playing Xbox, and somebody was asking me the other day if I have an Xbox One, and I was like, no, I got a Netflix 360 though.
A net box. That's kind of funny. I was just talking to my wife about that today. She's like, "Are you gonna ever use this Xbox One?" Because I used to bring it out into my room back here and play on the monitor. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't think I'm going to, because I just started playing PC now. Because I just don't have time to go out there and like get way into it.
Travis
It's just a
playing.
Netflix now.
He's a new Counter-Strike convert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting addicted now.
Yeah.
So it's a good game.
Yeah,
Good game.
I got addicted way back in the day, like 1.6, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And
There's a reason why it's been around for as long as it has.
yeah, same maps and everything, which is actually pretty nice because I like remember everything around there. It's a good it's a good segue back into a gaming addiction.
It is nice. That's nice.
Do you have a lot of time? You carve out time to play games still, or are you pretty much on the go all the time?
Yeah, the thing is that like, and as much as I try to plan all my meetings like to align from, let's say, 10 to 1 or whatever, it never ends up being that way because the other party may not have the same freedom as I do. So I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna make a video, so I'll start recording, and then I'll be really getting into it. I'm like, all right, you get to the point where you're warmed up and you know for a fact that the next game you're gonna have a good game because one, you found the right lobby, and two, you're at your peak mentally, and then all of a sudden a phone call comes in and you got to take it, and there that goes right completely.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how long the conversation is, once you get out of that mentality of 'cause again, just like in art, I'm not as talented as like the top 1%, so I really have to like focus and be about the game before I can do that. Like that's one of the reasons I don't snipe anymore, because sniping took such like a precise like mentality that I was like, man, I'm just gonna spray and pray.
Honestly, I
Back-
mean, well, sorry to cut you off, Nick.
Good.
But no, even like especially having a kid now, because I have a daughter who's about to turn 2, and I find myself doing that too, trying to carve out time for gaming here and there. And I'm like, all right, I gotta get in my headset. I got my headset. I got Steam up. I got CS:GO. All right, load up the game, and then I hear like a I'm like, nope. All right, game's over. Put the headset down. like, I got to the main menu. I got to the main menu. like, and it's just that's just the way it is now. And I don't think I'm ever gonna get back to where I was in terms of gaming like hardcore. I don't, it's just tough. Maybe when they get older, be a little bit easier.
Yeah, back in Modern Warfare 2, whenever sniping had a lot of steam behind it because of Hutch and those other kind of guys, I did a lot of the sniping. They just made it like so difficult. Like it just got progressively harder and harder and harder. Like Black Ops, by the time Black Ops came around, you're like shooting marshmallows at guys, and
The
getting
sway, as soon as you zoom in, it wasn't centered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Modern Warfare 2, I was ranked like, I don't know, 50 in accuracy. I think I had like a 92% accuracy on sniper rifle in Modern Warfare 2. It's crazy.
Good. I don't think I used any other weapon aside from the intervention. The MP5, was there an MP5? Yeah, right. The MP5.
In MW2, I think so.
Yeah, those were
Yeah.
probably the only two guns that I used, because mostly I was playing game battles, 1, and then 2 was just free for all sniping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't use the ACR?
No.
The,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
God gun?
Well, I mean, if I picked it up, and of course, but no. Modern Warfare 3, I used the shit out of the ACR. Pardon my French.
Do you do a lot of the live streaming stuff? I know that you guys as a team do a lot of the live stream. I didn't know how much you do personally.
I try to stream every night, but it rarely happens. And it's mostly not that I don't have time. It's just that I don't have buddies to play with, right? Like I have a house full of professionals that play Call of Duty nonstop, but they have their own thing to do. But I have like Optic J is like my partner in crime when it comes to like video games. He's like the dude that I like to play video games with. Hutch, Diesel, Fwiz, and lately it's been a little bit tough. Fwiz obviously is now the head of gaming at YouTube. Jay's working over there at YouTube as well, or Google. So it's like a lot, and he just got married, so it's like a lot tougher to get the old crew together.
Yep.
And to play by yourself is cool if you're working, but if you're like streaming and you want to have fun, you want to play with your friends, and if they're not there, it's like it makes it a little bit tougher.
Nice. Can you hang with Nate and them, or are you bottom of the scoreboard every time?
Yeah, bottom of the scoreboard every time.
With some carrying from the bottom.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, right? If it was the other way around, if I was at the top, I'm like, what are they? They would not be on the team.
Actually, it's funny you bring that. I just remembered. It was me, this guy that I used to live with. We actually played you, Nate Shot, and some other third person back in Black Ops 2. It was one of those streams where it was like game battles with Hex and Friends or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I just remembered I played against you guys. We actually almost beat you too. It was so close.
Almost doesn't count.
I know it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It's like almost getting away from doing graffiti and having your name shut out.
No, it counts though, because I've used it against Nate Shot before. Like I played him in a 1v1 and I beat him once. I'm 1-0 against Nate Shot on LAN, and just to be clear on that, right? It was the VA Beach
Never
LAN.
play him again.
Never play him again. It was Modern Warfare 3. Seth's mom had to leave, so obviously Seth had to go. So it was me, Rambo, Merc, and Big Timer versus Ego, Rizma, Solo, and Nate Shot. LAN.
Got him.
If
you remember back in like the original Xbox days when the only thing you had was LAN, and you just get like a group of like 10 guys together, and you just hook up your Xboxes with an Ethernet cable and just go at each other in Halo 1.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
I mean, I remember it with Call of Duty 2.
Trying to play Halo with my kids in split screen, and
it was
split screen.
What was it? GoldenEye on N64. They do like the quad split screen. That's like where I think that's probably where I fell in love with competitive. I was like, this is awesome.
Turn on paintball mode.
Yeah. What did Hector? Where did you kind of get your start in the gaming scene? Like after doing I'm assuming you started doing graffiti and art and stuff like that early on in your younger days, and then what kind of got you into the whole video game scene?
So when I was 24, I moved out of my house for the first time ever. Right, 24. I moved in with my fiance, with my now fiance. Who I've been with 14 years. Don't ask why we're still fiancé and not married, because you don't get more married than living together for 10 years and having a 5-year-old. So I remember going to Sam's Club. I don't know if you guys have that over there, but it's like a store where your membership stuff, whatever. Mm-hmm. I bought an Xbox. I brought it home. She's like, are you like, you're never gonna, like, why'd you buy that? You're never gonna be on that, right? You're always out doing your stuff. You're always, fishing, or you're not an indoor dude. And I'm like, who knows? Picked it up, and I've always had this infatuation with sniping, right? Like Enemy at the Gates, I love that movie. Sniper, the first Sniper movie was good. And then I remember like the Call of Duty 2 that it came with, I played it and I grabbed the sniper rifle, and I remember it clearly. It was St. Mary-Glise. I was on the building to the side of St. Mary-Glise, and I looked towards the south, and there's this broken building, and I remember zooming in, and there was a guy that was like right here, and it was like about to go out of my shot, and I killed him right here. And then I was like,
it was like a movie scene.
Awesome.
I was the sniper.
I was like, I love this game. I'm like, I'm gonna play it, and sure enough, man, the first week of me after that one shot was like the most addicted I've ever been to anything ever in my life. Are you guys still there? Because it froze over here.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was the most addicted I've ever been to my like, I would literally wake up at 7 in the morning and play until like 3 in the morning on like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like 24-hour sessions at times. Like legitimately, first week There was no girlfriend, even though she was. And there was nothing. There was no response, no food, no showers, nothing. It was just Call of Duty. And at that time, I was playing a lot of poker, and poker was like the thing that was like. So I went from graffiti to poker to gaming, and poker was like my thing. I bought a table. I went to tournaments. I did this, that, and the other, and then Call of Duty just Something about it. Just something about it,
love it,
man.
man. You got those really like those moments in your mind that while you're gaming that you'll never forget. You know, it's like when I dropped my first nuke on Modern Warfare 2. I literally couldn't play for like the next hour because I was like freaking out so bad.
I remember the first time I lost the 1v1 in Call of Duty 4. It was heartbreaking because I at that time I had so much writing on the reputation of Optic that I was like I don't know. And this was before I quit to do it full time. This was before like whatever. It was just reputation at that point, and I felt so and I was rushing like it was up to it was up to 15, and I was up 14 to 11, and the dude was just hiding. His name was Mafia. He was just hiding behind the yellow car, and I just kept on rushing him because I was that confident. I was like, it's easy, and he ended up catching up and beating me. And I remember I was like, I had to shut it off, go for a drive, and I remember like driving, punching the wheel, and I'm like, why?
I was gonna say, did you lose to Syndicate on stream or?
Nah. And if we did, I would have. If I did play him, like, he would definitely not be streaming that shit.
Thanks for taking that and running with it. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Well, speaking of appreciation, man, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and we had a blast, and love seeing the work. So we know you're busy, but carve out some time and do up some artwork, man, because I love seeing it.
I'm trying. Nothing would make me happier than to allocate some time for me.
Easier said than done, huh?
Yeah.
I want to mail you a tablet, even if you're saying no. I want it.
Look, man, if you want to be responsible for like the fall of Optic and like us losing sponsorships because deliverables aren't being met, by all means.
But you get a lot of cool artwork out of it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I might get a couple of $100 for those, maybe in the right circles,
on the right market.
Yeah.
I'll retweet.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh man,
That's cool.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. We'll have all of Hector's links in the description. If you guys don't know where to find him, definitely check him out. And check out Optic Gaming. They're doing some big things. I know you guys are probably getting hyped about Black Ops 3 coming up in the fall.
Very excited, man. Very excited. I have a picture up here. I don't know if you guys can see it. This one right here, that's David Vonderhaar on top of the Black Ops 1 Jeep, and then it's all of Optics surrounding him. So we're excited. Anytime we have Vonderhaar in the driving seat, it's Black Ops 2. Sorry, we're excited about it for sure.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, Vonderhaar is green wall all the way, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that is Black Ops 1.
For a second, I thought you were gonna
2011.
You were gonna say, okay, and if you look here, and you're gonna like show the Black Ops 3 disc, and I was gonna be like, I'm just kidding.
I've always been very good at telling them, like, I don't want to see anything. I don't want don't tell me anything. I might slip up, and then you guys will hate me. So don't say anything to me. All the intel and all the the secret stuff, I bow out of that. No, thank you.
Cool, man. Cool. So, thanks for everyone who tuned into the live show here, and if you're watching on YouTube, we also appreciate it, and make sure that you guys spread the word and follow the stream and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And check us out on Twitter for updates. And all those links are youtube.com, Ctrl+Zcast, Twitch TV, Ctrl+Zcast, and Twitter, Ctrl+Zcast. So definitely check us out. And check Hector out. And again, can't say it enough. We appreciate you taking some time out on the busy schedule there and penciling us in.
Yeah, I just feel bad for you guys, to be honest, because now I have like both of you. I already have Evan's Skype. Now I have your Skype, Skype. So get ready, because anytime Evan's like, I don't have. I'm kind of busy. I'm gonna be like, boom. You do this for me. You do that for me, man. Thank you.
Hit me up, man. Hit me
No
up.
problem. Right on. All right. Well, we'll catch you
All
later,
right.
guys.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
See you.